Hello, this is Bill Messerly, the Executive Director of St. Gabriel Catholic Radio, and welcome to a special interview with Dr. Tim Collins, the new president of Walsh University. Walsh University is located in North Canton, Ohio, and offers undergraduate, graduate, and adult accelerated degree programs. Dr. Collins became the 7th president of Walsh University in August of 2019. Welcome, Dr. Collins.
Hello, Bill. It's great to be here from North Canton and talk about Walsh University and what our impact is in the state of Ohio and hopefully across the nation as our 14,000 alumni reach out across America in roles of leadership.
You began your tenure as the 7th president of Walsh University just a few months ago. What have your first few months been centered on?
Thanks, Bill. So I've been here now. This is day number 93 for me. And I'm focused very much on what I'm calling a listening tour. So I'm in search of the soul of the university. So what that means is I'm trying to really understand what our capabilities are, what our desires are, and understand that in a way that I can be as effective as I can be in my role as the president and also as an individual contributor. So my time has been spent mostly on campus. I've been conducting focus groups. We've done surveys. I've taught 5 classes. I'm on the athletic fields. I'm learning everyone's name, trying to get a real sense and a feel for the university. I've been studying Catholic higher education for over a decade, so I'm pretty familiar with the domain, the 225 of these institutions that we have here in the country. But I didn't really know Walsh in a deep way prior to arriving here on August 5th, so I've been spending my time trying to learn more about it.
Walsh is a place where you matter. What have you been hearing as you've been listening to the leaders of the university and the students?
So Walsh is a place where you matter. We have our motto is through God grants the increase, and this comes from the Brothers of Christian Instruction, which are our sponsors. And right now, Bill, they're celebrating their 200th year in their mission, where they view teaching as not just a job, but it's actually is their mission. And they focus very much on reaching out to the periphery, going where no one else will go. And so in that sense, Walsh University, as the only university of higher education that the brothers have sponsored, has been focused on that for now 59 years. We'll be celebrating our 60th next year. So about 40% of our students come from places where they've been underrepresented, where they're underserved. We really are trying to be reflective of that mission of providing this transformational experience to these kinds of students that no other way would they have an opportunity for higher education. Our mission at Walsh University is to train and educate leaders in service to others. We are providing a values-based education, and we do this in the Judeo-Christian tradition. So our brothers have been at this for 200 years. We've been at this for 600 years, and we take every part of that mission statement seriously. So in higher education, it is about building leaders for the country, and that's exactly what we're doing. If you look anywhere across the country, in the private sector, in the public sector, the leaders of companies, organizations, nonprofits, clubs, they almost all have a college or university experience. So we take this very seriously, that we are preparing our students not just for a job or for that first job, but we are actually preparing them for their life's purpose. You know, when you choose a Catholic approach to higher education, there's 3 distinctive traits that are present in an authentic Catholic college university. The first one is reason and faith are both at play. Our Catholic tradition teaches us, the Catholic higher intellectual tradition teaches us, which is a 2,000-year-old conversation we've had with the world, that reason and faith take us to the same place. So we focus on that in the curriculum, in the residential life, in all aspects of university life. The second key ingredient is that there is an objective reality. So the Catholic approach has always rejected relativism and has always said there is an objective reality. So we want to make sure our students are grounded in that as they prepare themselves for what their future is, which leads us to this third key difference in a Catholic approach to higher education as opposed to a secular approach, and that's that we believe every person has a purpose. There is a vocational aspect to what we're doing. There is a reason we are all here. And so we are trying to help our students understand what their purpose is. What is their vocation in life? What is it that they are meant to do? And then provide them with the tools that they need so that they can live out their life's purpose. So for us, Walsh University is about an education. It's also about formation. We blend these two together. We're aligned with the teachings of the magisterium, which means that we are an institution that is faithful to the teachings of the church, and we're going to make sure our students understand that, what the differences are, so that they can engage in the modern world, which is what all of us as lay people are called to do. But there's also some that will take on other vocations in life. Some will be married, some will be single, some might be religious, some might be lay, but whatever God has in mind for all of them, we want to make sure they're ready for that. And this also applies in the broadest sense to everyone that's associated with the university. So when I talk about students, Bill, I'll talk about students as all of us. We are a liberal arts institution, and so we think lifelong learning matters. So we're all students. I'm a student. They're a student. Some are tuition-bearing, but all of us are students at some point, and we're all thinking about this life purpose. I frequently will ask the seniors, okay, what is your life plan? What are you going to do after graduation? And they'll tell me what they're thinking about, and then I have to tell them at the end, I said, I have bad news. This is not the last time you're going to have to go through this process. I had to go through this process myself this summer. Do I leave Johns Hopkins? Do I step out? Do I go to North Canton? I've never lived in Ohio. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And so I have to think about this not just from the student's perspective, but from all the adults' perspective as well, the faculty and staff.
You're listening to Dr. Tim Collins, the 7th president of Walsh University. And Dr. Collins, you mentioned that Walsh is interested in transforming lives. Tell us about the centrality of service at Walsh University.
Well, service is what it's all about. So if I would just ask each one of your listeners, think about for just a moment what it is that makes you happiest. And I would argue that almost all of us will in some sense respond with an answer that we're happiest when we're doing something for someone. And so we know this is how we're wired. This is in our DNA. This is how God created us. He created us to serve. And so we are talking about leaders in service in our mission statement because we want to prepare leaders who are doing things for others, not just for ourselves. So while we will acknowledge that in the world success can mean a lot of things, we are actually not focused on educating our students so that they're successful at something. We actually want them to be somebody, to make a difference wherever they are, in their communities, in their families, in their workplace. And so the education and formation that they're going to receive at Walsh University is all focused on this idea that we want to give back. And so we want to make sure that the opportunities are available for them on campus in the residential life, for sure, to practice some of these skills that they're going to need as leaders. All of our students have an internship requirement. All of our students, 100% of our students, you cannot graduate from Walsh University unless you've met a community service commitment. So we all do that. In fact, our football team, Bill, in all of America, in the NCAA Division II, our football team is the number 2 football team in the country for community service hours. That is how serious we take this idea that service matters.
Dr. Tim Collins from Walsh University, tell us a little bit about the faithfulness in which you aspire to keep our students at Walsh, the students at Walsh, rooted in the Catholic faith.
Bill, I think one of the challenges that families have today in finding a good fit for students and students themselves in terms of where do they go to school. You know, there's 5,500 colleges and universities in the country. There's 225 Catholic ones. There's many, many more faith-based independent ones. I think we have to ask ourselves how faithful is an institution to being true to the Catholic approach to higher education. One way a family can measure that is to ask about something called the Man Datum. Now, your listeners might not be familiar with this. For many, many years, for decades in fact, theologians and in some cases philosophers took an oath of fidelity at their institutions that they would teach Catholic teachings in an authentic way, which means that they might disagree with it, agree with it, argue with it, discuss it by evidence and argument. This is what we do, but they would never misrepresent Catholic teachings. It wouldn't be distorted, it wouldn't be rejected, it would just be authentically told. Well, when John Paul wrote a document called Ex Corde Ecclesia in 1990, this is the document that the Church puts out that talks about Catholic universities and colleges, he established something called a Man Datum. And a Man Datum is simply this. It's a mandate that the local ordinary, which is the bishop, gives to a theologian that says the theologian agrees that they will present Catholic teaching faithfully and truthfully. So the process is the theologian applies to the ordinary accepts it, and then hands back this Man Datum. And so what's interesting, when this was created, when the U.S. bishops looked at it, it was allowed, the Church allowed by conference, by continent, so here in America, their own rules of how to institute this. It was done very quietly. I think in large measure, historically, this comes from what happened at Catholic University in the 70s with the Kernan affair, and likely the bishops did not want to have a big fight on their hands for something that is so simple as a theologian just tell the truth, right? So you can argue about the Church's position on something, and we can look at the evidence, and we can teach our students how to think about this, but let's for sure make sure the Church's position is clear and it's accurate. And so what happened was that when this Man Datum is given back, there is no requirement for public notification of this. So the reason why I bring this up is if you go to any school in America, they're going to brag about national merit scholars. They're going to brag about athletic scholarships. They're going to brag about SAT scores. But no one, almost no one, will even mention Man Datums. So what I encourage our families to do is if you're looking for an institution that's aligned with the Church, when you go to that institution, ask this question: do your theologians have a Man Datum? Remember, there's no requirement that it be made public, so just because they're not publicly saying anything, you shouldn't necessarily hold that against them. The answer will come back in one of two ways. Yes, they have it, in which case you know that they are aligned with what the Church wants them to do, or no, they don't, in which case you might pause and reflect on what that means to you. Why wouldn't they have it? Or they won't tell you. And I think that might tell you something else as well. So if you go to my website, Bill, CatholicHigherEd.com, I actually have a blog on there called The Man Datum, and it can explain, just in short, easy-to-read terms, what this means. And there's a host of other little articles that I have on there, as well as a tool, a framework, 15 features that anyone could apply to any Catholic college or university and get a sense of what to look for if you're seeking out an authentic approach to the Catholic higher education.
You're listening to the new president of Walsh University, Dr. Tim Collins. Dr. Collins, what types of things are available for students that attend Walsh University as it relates to increasing their faith life?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question, Bill. So, of course, the university, we are aligned with the magisterium. So you'll find at Walsh University we have 2 daily masses. We have Eucharistic adoration. We have 2 daily masses 5 days a week. We have daily mass on Saturday morning, and of course Sunday there's a daytime 11 o'clock mass as well as an evening mass, which is very popular with our students. We'll also have Eucharistic adoration twice a day, 6 days a week. In the Brothers Chapel, you can always find the tabernacle easily accessible as well as the chapel. We do have a chapel which sits on the center of our campus, which is the highlight of the campus, which is just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful facility. We have confessions available every day at a set time as well as available by appointment. We have 3 Catholic priests that are on campus 24 hours a day. Of course, the Brothers of Christian Instruction themselves. We also have 14 religious from the continent of Africa, from Tanzania, from Uganda. They are sisters, they're priests. They're there studying. We have a big program, for the African bishops in terms of helping them, raise the education for what they're trying to do in their diocese. We have a wide variety of groups, as is the case in many Catholic colleges and universities, and actually the secular ones too. A lot of the student activities are driven by the students. So you'll find groups like the pro-life group. You'll find groups where they're feeding the poor. We take care of Up in Alliance. There is a facility that feeds people once or twice a day, and we take twice a month. We're out there, the students or the faculty and staff. If the students are out of session, we cover for them to make sure that those folks are taken care of. You'll find in the education department, our students are doing their education internships, their student teaching at the Catholic college, the Catholic elementary school right there in town. All of the students have a service requirement. We participate in the Pro-Life March. Just a few weeks ago, we hosted on campus the Not For Sale. You may be familiar with this. This is the global movement where we're standing up for those that are enslaved and caught up in human trafficking, which Ohio ranks number 4th in the nation for this problem. It's a huge problem. It's right underneath our feet. And so we have an opportunity to exercise our Catholic faith, which we believe in the dignity of the human person. So we felt this opportunity to host that walk on our campus, the 2-mile silent walk, single file, was an opportunity to stand up and be counted for something that really mattered. Other things in the curriculum, of course, theology is in our curriculum. The students are required to take theology. They're required to take philosophy, not to the extent that we saw 5 decades ago, but there is a requirement for this. 2 credits. 2 courses. One is your basic Catholic approach, and then they have an elective that they can take. But they're all grounded in the same way, with an understanding of what it means to think about theology and how this study of God matters. This is one of the unique things about a Catholic approach, right? Academic freedom at a Catholic university like Walsh University is to its fullest. If you go to a secular school, academic freedom generally will mean it's something that arises out of the autonomy of the individual. I can say what I want, I can go where I want, I can present what I want, and you, institution, can't say anything about that. That is actually, Bill, not the Catholic approach to academic freedom. The Catholic approach to academic freedom is that the search for truth is where this academic freedom arises out of. And so that means that all possible positions, that means all possible voices have to be heard, and that means all branches of knowledge must be considered. So if you go to a secular school, theology won't be considered, the study of God won't be considered, that reason does not pair up with faith, and so you exclude part of the knowledge base that's already out there. So I frequently say to people, well, we don't study something that we can't see. And I say, is that right? So can you see the wind? Can you see electricity? Well, if you can't see those and you believe those are true, why is it that you will limit yourself in what is possible in other areas? So academic freedom and the search for truth, each presupposes the other. So in our curriculum at Walsh University, we include the study of God. We exclude no branch of knowledge. We insist that all possible positions be considered if you're really trying to find the right way. This is why the Catholic Church, Bill, has always been interested in what did the Jews say, what did the Muslims say, what did the Hindus say, because we want to know what all the possible knowledge is out there. Remember, the Catholic Church actually invented higher education. So this is a 900-year tradition. 1088, the University of Bologna opened its doors. All of those early universities, Bologna, Prague, Paris, they were all Catholic. And they were formed for 3 reasons. First, to protect knowledge. Then the monks moved on and decided that they should work on generating knowledge. And as the universities were birthed, this is where we got into transmitting knowledge. And why do we do that? Because we know that the more you know, the more knowledge you have. It builds on each other. It's like a stairway to heaven. The closer you come to truth, the closer you become to He who is truth, which is Christ, which is God Himself. So as you disseminate knowledge, as you gain knowledge, you actually move closer to God. And now as you start to think about what is my purpose in life, it becomes a lot easier to figure that out. So we're very focused on all branches of knowledge at Walsh University right there in North Canton, Ohio, Bill.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. What are others outside of Walsh University saying about Walsh University?
Well, we're very proud at Walsh University to be recognized by the Cardinal Newman Society. This is the Cadillac version, if you will, of an organization that is keeping the fire lit for America. Those are my words, not their words. In other words, they're trying to make sure that we're all being faithful, we're standing strong, we're standing together against the tide of what's happening, in the secular world in terms of being faithful to Catholic higher education. So there's about 20 schools on the list. We're proudly one of them. And they make a determination by looking at all aspects of the university, the student experience, the curriculum, and making sure that we're doing things that are aligned with Ex Corde, that are faithful to the traditions of the church, that are mindful of these three key ingredients, the reason and faith, the objective reality, and the life's purpose. So we're on their list. We're in their book, which is very good. We're also part of a list that's called the Catholic Universities of Distinction. This is another list. Wallet Hub last week just came out here in the state of Ohio. Walsh University is ranked number 7 here as colleges and universities in Ohio. We're very proud of that. You'll find us as a Best Buy. When you get down to the financial aspects of what a college or university experience is, it certainly matters. Affordability and access, these are big issues for the entire country. There's a lot of reasons for this. I won't go into all of it. But when you really dig into all the different ways that the financial model is used and the pricing and the tuition and the room and the board, there really, at the end of the day, isn't that much difference between what a public school is offering and what a private school is offering. We will frequently turn to some of the statistics in terms of 4-year rate. The independent faith-based do better than public, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years. In terms of retention, independence, faith-based, again, they do better. We beat public school in almost any statistic you can think of. And when you look at the cost, it's about the same as well. So institutional aid is a big part of how we help our students. We spend a third of our budget, Bill. We spin it right back around and provide that back as institutional aid and scholarships to our students to make sure that it's competitive. In the state of Ohio, we now have legislation that says tuition can go up no more than 2% a year. And you know what? At Walsh University, we're raising ours 1.98% next year. At Walsh University, if you come in the door of fall 2020, your tuition rate will be frozen. What you start with will be yours for 4 years. We have a 4-year guarantee on graduation. So we're doing some things that, aren't out there necessarily in the public sector. But the cost is pretty much going to be the same when you sort it all out. It is still, I'm not at all walking away from. This is an expensive proposition, which is why we take it so seriously, but we know what a difference it makes, not just in terms of income, but it also makes a difference when you get to the other end of life. People may not understand this. Only 12% of those that are dependent on government aid after age 65 have a college degree. 48% of those dependent don't. So it sets you on course. It transforms your lives, your family's lives. It sets you into a position where you can actually be a contributor to society and help others instead of just necessarily drawing from society. So there are a lot of good reasons. College still matters. There's no statistic that you'll look at anywhere that suggests this is not a good investment. Anything worth doing is worth working hard at. It is hard. Our students have to work hard. In American education, the 4-year education used to be a 3-year program, Bill, until the 19th century. And, of course, we were only doing medicine, law, and ministry at the time. It went to 4 years because we found our students weren't ready. we're going through some of this today. So 20 years ago, a 4-year graduation rate we would have talked about. 10 years ago, we started talking about a 6-year graduation rate. And now today in America, we're talking about an 8-year graduation rate. A lot of reasons for that. Some of it is student preparedness. I think there's a lot of other reasons. But here is the bottom line. If you're in college for 8 years, you're going to have a lot of debt. That's why at Walsh University, we have this guarantee we're going to get you done in 4. Now, it takes effort on your part, so we lay out the conditions. Here's what you have to do. Here's what the institution has to do. But we need to get our students in college, those that should go to college, and then we need to get them out. At Walsh University, we focus on students that think that this is what they should be doing. Tim Collins, my own personal opinion is not everyone should go to college. There is good, honorable work, lots of things that can be done that do not require a 4-year degree. So I think as families are discerning what the path is for those students as they're finishing up their high school, they should be praying a lot, thinking a lot about, well, what is it that I should be doing? Should I be doing VOTEC? Should I be doing a timeout? Should I do Peace Corps? Should I do some sort of a service program? Do I go to college? Do I go to community college? Is a 4-year college? Fit is what is most important. And so wherever you go, whatever your path is, for those seniors that are thinking about it right now in high school and you're thinking about what your path is, start with where do you think you're being called? Really listen. St. Benedict tells us the very first word in his rule is listen. We're told this repeatedly in the Gospels. We hear this in the responsorial psalm often, Lord, that we may hear your voice. So I would just encourage families to really listen before they just blindly embark on, I have to go find a college, which is the right one for me.
Dr. Collins, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule to visit Columbus and the listeners at St. Gabriel Catholic Radio. Any next steps for those who are interested in learning more about Walsh University?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Of course, we're on the web at Walsh.edu. It has all kinds of information. If you go to the website, you can get contact information. You can call me directly. My telephone number, the address is all right there on the website as well. We're here to help you. If you're in school, talk with your guidance counselors for sure. If they don't know about Walsh, then let us know and we'll make sure that they get the information. We host campus visits. 3 times a day we have people that are on campus looking around. I think if it's possible, you should make campus visits. There is just a lot to learn and understand and feel when you can physically be in the environment you're going to be in. The college experience is going to change the life of a student. So being aligned with the way the university is thinking and what's important to the university is important for you as an individual because this is how you will think the rest of your life. At Walsh University, we're focused on teaching people how to think, not teaching them what to think. So being in the university environment and getting a sense of how it is for you, I think is very important. So that's true if it's a large urban school, if it's a rural school, if it's small, if it's medium size, athletics, NCAA, we have 23 sports. A third of our students are athletes plus our intramural program. But this all feeds into the Catholic approach, the Walsh University approach, where it's about the whole person. It's physical, it's intellectual, it's emotional, it's social, it's spiritual. It's all of that combined is what we're focused on. We're not exclusively thinking about just that next job. So the next step for anyone thinking about it, talk, pray, look around, visit if you can. Walsh.edu for Walsh University.